Hey guys, it's Bex here, and I am here with a good friend of mine, Dr. Amber Golshani. She is a naturopath in practice for over 10 years, and she's here to talk to us all about detox and when detox becomes deprivation and even worse, disordered eating. Welcome, Amber.
Hey.
So something interesting happened. I started this Bliss Detox challenge, and I did it first with gluten, and then we moved on to sugar. And in the midst of all of that, I'm looking at your posts, which are getting so good. I love following you on social media. And I love them even when I don't necessarily connect with them. So it's not about agreeing or disagreeing. Sometimes I look at your posts and I'm like, what does that mean that detox isn't good for us? What does that mean it could be a sign of disordered eating? And then at the same time, I'm seeing these questions come in from my challengers, and they're asking me for more rules. They're asking me for more details on how to detox. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Just stop eating the sugar. Like that's the only rule. So maybe you could speak a little bit more about that and what's showing up in my audience and the response that I'm getting.
So this has really become a passion of mine because it's not only something that I've seen in patients, but a journey that I've kind of come through myself. And what I have found is really just that it's all about the shades of gray. And for someone who has a healthy, normal relationship with food, it's as easy as you said, just don't eat the sugar and that's it, end of story, or eat the sugar and move on. But I feel like we have a cultural eating disorder that puts a lot of meaning on food and eating that inherently isn't there. Like food is food. It's not good. It's not bad. That's all the stuff that we make it mean and what we make it mean about ourselves.
Okay, but let me stop you right there, because we have this conversation. You know, I hear this conversation. Food is food. It isn't good. It isn't bad. But I believe that some food isn't food, or things that we call food, you know, they really aren't food, and that it is bad. It is toxic. So when I talk about eating clean or eating real food, it's not about saying that my body's dirty or that, you know, that food is bad. I'm saying not food is bad, and that some food is toxic, and we need to get that out of our systems through a slow, easy, mindful detox practice.
With someone who has like disordered thinking around food, it's really hard to grasp those nuances because there is stuff that people eat that's technically not even really food anymore.
Yeah.
And is kind of bypasses our natural instincts and mechanisms that help us regulate food intake. So, you know, eating like a diet of 100% sugar, for example, is probably not going to support your health. Now, someone with a healthy relationship with food, with a normal relationship with food, can listen to the feedback of their own body and get that. And like you said, be able to reduce that in their diets. But someone who has kind of this disordered thinking around food, it's really hard to distinguish that. And we've gotten so used to looking to experts and listening to what other people have to say about food that we've forgotten how to hear our own body's wisdom. And ultimately, to me, that's what it comes down to. If we can cut out all the clutter and cut out all the garbage and the people trying to sell us these fad diets and learn how to listen to our body again, our bodies know how to regulate. Our bodies know when enough is enough. Our bodies know when to say, I'm full, I don't want that. Or, you know what, I had 2 bites of ice cream or a cup of ice cream and I'm good, I can stop now. Without all the meaning and the judgments that we put on it, which a lot of times just make us want it more.
Okay,
it's the whole forbidden fruit thing.
I see the forbidden fruit thing, but then I also see that I'm allowed to have a treat thing. And then I also see that I'm allowed to have a treat and it turning into a binge thing. So I'll give you an example. Right before we had this call, I'm in the middle of my 30-day sugar-free detox.
Yeah.
And I was kind of having a shit day, for lack of a better word, coming off kind of a shit weekend. And I'm really tired of being mindful about the way I'm eating and being so careful. And it's less of a pushback and more of I just feel like taking a break. So I told my husband to go and get me the new Ben & Jerry's dairy-free ice cream, which was so my vice before we started this. Like I was eating a lot of ice cream, and that's why I said, let me just try a little detox from sugar for a while. And he got it. I had a serving. I put it away. Then he asked me, you know, how was it? And he said, I just want a couple bites of it. I'm like, you can have the rest. I'm over it.
Yeah.
But I was still kind of treating a bad mood with an ice cream reward. So how do we know if it's just, it's fine, I have a healthy relationship with food and I just want to have the ice cream? How do we know it's that? Or if we're moving into dangerous territory?
It's all about the beliefs and attitudes we have about food. So it's normal to sometimes emotionally eat, you know, like you're having a shit day and you want to eat ice cream just because you want to eat ice cream. You eat it and you move on. See, that's the thing, is that you're able to move on. My mantra is NBD, no big deal. Like, that's just how I've had to make food in my life. Like, I ate it, no big deal. Or this is a big one for me. I'm full, but I still want to eat. No big deal. And just move on. And the more I've took away all the stigma, all the guilt, all the shame away from it, the easier it's been for me to like genuinely say, you know what? I've had enough pizza. I don't want to eat the whole thing.
So how do we know that we're getting into red flag territory?
There's 3 questions that I ask myself and that I ask my patients. And the first is, how much of your self-worth depends on what you eat? I hear a lot of people, especially in the wellness industry, who, like you were kind of saying, like, oh, I feel so much better when I eat pure, or I eat clean, or I feel lighter. Or even people will say, oh my God, I was so bad last night because I ate X, Y, or Z. Mm-hmm. Or the opposite of that is, I feel so good. I've been so good all day. I've had nothing but, you know, whatever fill in your healthy food is. And of course, you know, like there's kind of a high that comes from being like, or like a moral superiority that can come along with eating clean or pure.
Yeah.
But the opposite, the converse is true. So people that have a slip up or fall off the wagon, then they feel guilty and they're shame and they feel like they are somehow a bad person or a failure.
And no, that's interesting, because I've been hearing a lot of that in the group. I was so bad yesterday. I ate the cookies. You know, I'm so bummed. Like, if it's changing, I guess, your state of mind, or, you know, it's hard when you say, are you connecting your self-worth to your food? That's kind of a heady statement. It's hard to get around, but I think we've all said that we were bad or we were good in relationship to eating, and then also feeling bad or guilt or feeling shame about it afterwards. So that's a really easy way to sort it out.
Using mindfulness to listen to the conversations you have around food is key. And not just the conversations you may speak out loud, but the conversations that you have with yourself around food. Are you scarfing down a bag of popcorn, but then burying it under the trash and hiding the evidence, throwing away the receipt, you know, from where you bought it, et cetera, et cetera? Like, it's those that the mindfulness is an important tool so that you can be aware of these things, because it's so, our culture totally supports dieting and deprivation and, you know, punishing workouts. So you can't expect kind of this like sick culture to call you on your own stuff. You have to be able to recognize it.
Right. No, that makes sense, because our culture actually rewards us for having unhealthy attitudes around food and unhealthy attitudes for ourselves when we don't follow certain strict guidelines. So interesting. So we gotta check ourselves before we wreck ourselves, basically.
Totally. So the second question is, you know, a lot of people fool around with their food in the pursuit of health. So the question is really checking in with, how healthy am I really? And not just physically, but I want to look at the social impact of your eating, emotional, mental, all of that. Because I've seen a lot of people who their eating habits and beliefs start to impact the rest of their life. It just comes from this one thing, you know, food, into, oh my God, I can't go out because I can't eat anything that's going to be at this restaurant, worrying, anxiety about when your next meal is going to be or what you're going to be allowed to eat. There's physical symptoms too, which I think a lot of people overlook or want to sort of put onto, you know, oh, it must be because of this or that, my age. I mean, so many people are restricting calories, and that's just a normal thing to do in our culture. Well, if you're restricting calories, your metabolism's going to slow down. You're going to feel tired. You're going to feel cold. Your brain is going to be foggy. And the crazy thing is that a lot of times when we feel like this, what do? We say, oh my God, it must be because I'm eating too much X, Y, or Z.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take that out of my diet.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it can simply be fixed by, oh my God, you need to eat more calories.
Definitely. Well, people are afraid of that. So I think, it comes back to the mindfulness and really checking in with, and I love how you take a whole health approach and you're talking about the emotional health as well. Because that's something that's so missing in traditional medicine. And even when you're going to someone, if you're going to say a nutritionist and you're only talking about the food and you're not talking about the rest of your life, you're not talking about your relationships or your work or your sleep, all of those things are contributing factors. What's the third question?
Is eating and food just one small part of my overall balanced life? Mm-hmm. Or has it taken over my life? And health should really help us live our lives. Health shouldn't be the purpose of our lives and the single sole pursuit. And I can say personally, it took over my life.
I think that that's the perfect question to finish with, because people are spending so much time talking about one very small aspect of their lives. So how much time do I actually spend eating in a day? If I sit down for 3 meals and that's 30 minutes a meal, and I'm being very generous with that. So I'm usually kind of just like grabbing on the go. That's an hour and a half of a 24-hour day. Right. And if you're focusing half your day on this very small percentage of time, 5% of time, then you might be moving into a place where it's becoming unhealthy for you. And I wanted to reveal something too on this video that I haven't talked before very publicly. So the reason that I started this Bliss Detox, and you've been counsel for me through this, and I so appreciate it. You're like looking at my blood work and giving me fantastic advice on how to talk to my doctors and my specialists. So some stuff showed up in my blood work that looks like I might have the beginnings of Hashimoto's. And because of other symptoms that were coming up and they were very apparent, like my skin color change, a very strange period pattern all of a sudden over the past couple of years, it was lending itself to maybe having an intolerance to something in my diet. So I first eliminated gluten, and I'm moving on to sugar because it was just something else in processed foods that I knew I didn't need too much of. And dairy has always been an irritant to me, so that's going to be coming next. And I'm really trying to clean up my diet, not in an effort to just be quote unquote healthier and to have a squeaky clean diet as far as the popular diet culture says, but I'm really trying to heal myself from something that is bringing my health, my energy levels down, my vitality down. I'm not doing as well as I want to be doing. So I want everyone to have an understanding of that. As I was going on this journey, I was asking people to come with me, but I'm doing something really real to cause me to have, I think, more focus and more attention on my diet, a little bit out of norm for me, because I don't think about my food this much.
Yeah. And certainly, everything that I said is not to say that you can't pursue health. There are some people, myself included, where it starts to take over our lives. And that becomes not healthy in the big picture. And, my purpose, how I serve, is because I want women to live like this full, vivacious, bodacious life. And if your whole existence is down to just food, well, then you're not really living this big life. You're focusing on this one small thing that can be very consuming. Absolutely. And take away from your life, not add to it.
I hate to use the word balance. I really, really do, because I don't even think it's a thing that anyone should even strive for, because that could be so stressful.
What is it?
But this habit of eating foods that we know aren't food or aren't that great for us in excess, and then trying to clean ourselves up, to get clean, to detox. This constant cycle. It's become the new yo-yo dieting, where it used to be like, I'm going to binge and then I'm going to try to get skinny. Now it's, I'm going to get dirty and then I'm going to try to get clean. Yeah. And it's just as bad, and it's just as harmful to your health and harmful to your emotional health, your mental health, your relationships, your vitality, all of those things. So I would ask you guys who are watching to ask yourself those 3 questions, because they were really genius. And it all goes back to just being mindful and to be paying attention. You know, don't diet, pay attention. And then examine how you can find a middle ground for yourself where you feel happy and not too consumed and not overburdened by food, because food is meant to be enjoyed and to nourish us.
Beautiful. Well said.
Are we good? Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you for your help. Thank you for bringing me down from level 10 down to level 2. I saw my blood work. I'm like, what is this? So thank you. And I want to have you back, and I want to talk more about this. And I want everyone to follow you. Your information is going to be on the bottom of this video. So you guys just click away, find Amber. I enjoy your posts so much. They're so thoughtful and they're so real and down to earth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hold on, I'm gonna start recording again.
Okay.
we had to come back on, and I already have the ponytail in because you have a bonus question, and this is good, and I love this. So please lay it on.
Okay, is if you're watching this video and everything that I'm saying is pissing you off and you're getting super righteous and defensive, that's a big warning alarm. Yeah. 5, 8 years ago, someone tried to talk to me about this. I had 100 reasons why they were wrong, and how could caring about your health be something bad? Well, sometimes it gets taken too far. So
bonus, if you think that everything that Amber just said is bullshit, please comment below. We want to hear from you. Awesome. What are you doing?
Whoa.
Yeah, we're getting ready for my video.
Whoa.
Uh-huh. No,